All right, so this is the interactive portion. So those of you that are smart may have already logged on, but go to menti.com and use that code 88174953. So we're going to see if you're smarter than the 22 people that have already done this. So open up any web browser on your phone, menti.com, and the code is 88174953. Hopefully, if you have issues, let me know. I may need to restart it and clear out everything, but let me know if it works. Does it work? Is it working? Thumbs up? Thumbs up. All right. Everybody in? All right, cool. Y'all, you figured out the thumbs up. Sweet. All right. All right, so we're going to explore some terms to help us better connect with young people. And I know most of you are younger than I am, so you should ace this test. So, all right. Oh, now I know what I need to do. Okay. Hold on one second. We are going to restart this because I just don't want you to, let's see, manage results. Let's do this. Reset results for entire presentation. There we go. Okay. So let's see if it has the same code. Same code, right? Everybody sees it? So if I go here, does this question pop up for you? Okay. So if you could only use one of these terms, which is better, African American or black? So pick. Yeah. So African American or black? Okay. All right. And keep in mind this little game we're playing, right? It's about micromessaging. It's about terms in our society that may have been okay to use or common terms in a particular decade or a particular period of time. So what I'm going to share with you is, okay, so today the correct term is black. Keep in mind the question, which is better? Not wrong, which is better? The reason why today in many diversity equity circles, you see the term black more often than African American, because black not only refers to African American, but maybe someone of black descent from a Jamaican country, from China, it's more inclusive today. Whether that changes tomorrow or not, typically what African American refers to is someone from the continent of Africa that is now here in America. Once again, these are definitions. These is not what I came up with. But remember, which is better? Neither one's wrong, but black is more of a universal term, okay? So we're gonna go on. So, come on. Oh, come on. Now you're being difficult. Forgot my clicker. All right, there we go. Next slide. Okay, which term for non-white populations are currently the best practice? The key is, remember, there's no right or wrong answers. I just kind of want to see the audience, So non-white populations, of these, you have minorities, underrepresented, underserved, people of color, or BIPOC or BIPOC. Okay? And I think some of you have figured out how to change your answers too, so don't be influenced by someone else who votes. All right, so 3 of you voted. And let's see what, in essence, in this case, what is the best practice, okay? Best practice, people of color or BIPOC, today's day and age. The reason why BIPOC, if you didn't know, is black. What's in our previous question, remember, black African, black indigenous, which means here, especially in the US, American Indian, feather, not dot, and then people of color. So sometimes you'll see people of color just used broadly. Sometimes you'll see that term BIPOC. In news articles, different things like that, you'll see that information. So once again, best practice, no right or wrong. All right, let's move on. Which term is best used for people with more than one race? More than one race, Half and half, hopefully everyone understands that's like creamer for coffee, so please don't mark that. Multiracial, mixed, or other. All right, as soon as I see 3 people that have answered, There we go. All right, so we're going to move on because I want to make sure we have enough time to get through this. So multiracial is typically we're seeing used more often than mixed. Obviously, you don't want to use other, but when I actually immigrated here to the US, I remember my parents filling out the immigration paperwork and we had to mark other because they didn't have anything for us, but that was back, in the day. But multiracial is typically when someone with more than one race. You may see biracial sometimes, but more often than not, the society is accepting more multiracial more than anything. So, and once again, no right or wrong answers, but just sharing what society and especially young people are. So which term is most inclusive? Once again, no right or wrong. Most inclusive: Hispanic, Mexican, Latino, Latina, Latinx. All right, great. We got everybody. So let's see. Who thinks they know the right answer? All right. So all of you got it. So Hispanic and Latinx, especially for the younger generation, and we're talking about, high school age, college age, young people, 20s, 30s, they prefer to refer themselves as Latinx or Hispanic. Latinx specifically meaning Mexico and the countries in Latin America, right? Hispanic typically meaning anyone who speaks Spanish, right? So those terms tend to be more often used. Now, I had a conversation with someone about Mexican and Latino, Latina. So if someone is from Mexico, they don't mind being referred to as Mexican, unless you know that person. Do you know, right? So you don't want to offend someone. That's the thing. We don't want to assume that someone is from Mexico if they're speaking Spanish, right? So, okay. A couple more questions. Which term is best used? I'm going to skip this one. There's a reason why. And I'm going to skip, let's skip this one. Which of these terms is most inclusive for written and visual materials? So something you're publishing on the web for people to read information. Like for instance, let's say you're holding a college or career fair and you want to attract young people to that event and their families. What term would you use so that everyone feels welcome to come and attend? I'm assuming you're to that question, right? Because no one's answered yet. Written meaning like, in a book, magazine. Visual meaning online or something like that. Which term is most inclusive? So. All right, 5 seconds. 4, 3, pick one. No one wants to pick one? All right, oh, there we go. All right. Oops, sorry. I forgot to hit enter. Okay. So, Women X is a term that is a brand new term that you're starting to see surface, right? The reason why guys, I'll be honest, is accepted by our society to be inclusive, but it is not. If you look at the literal definition of guys, it refers to men getting together after a sporting event, right? Ladies, once again, female, male. So Women X tends to be more like, because for whatever reason, our society puts women together with anyone gay, lesbian, bisexual. They put them all on that side. And for whatever reason, male is just male, right? So that's why Women X tends to refer to women, non-gender, non-binary, So whether that term lasts or not, I don't know. But I share that with you because this is it's changing every day. You see it in the newspaper, you see it politicians saying something, it's not fair, this and that. So I shared that with you because honestly, there's no right or wrong answer, right? The only thing we can do is try to be more inclusive to include everyone, right? In written and visual materials, so. All right, and I think I'm going to skip gender. I'm going to skip those. Most people know them, gender-neutral pronouns. They're they, them. We're starting to see the and higher as more common to be more including the LGBTQ community. So I'm going to hit return so you see, that's that answer there. And then some slang terms. This is going to be fun. Okay, these are some slang terms that young people are using right now, but I want to switch to this, and more slang terms that young people are using, but I'm just kind of curious. Complete the sentence. The beat on that song is blank. Hey Josh, how you doing? Nice shirt. I like it. And these are slang terms, right? I learned something new from these slang terms as well. All right, so we're going to see what the correct answer is. And the correct answer is slaps. The beat on that song slaps. I would have never thought that, but that's what young people are saying, right? So my daughter is getting ready to go to college here in a year. So it's like she got all these right. So she got all these right. So trust me, but I think it's important for us as adults, we're all adults here, to understand this. So complete this sentence. The robotics team is feeling blank because they lost to an all-girls team. Which I think is awesome that they lost to an all-girls team, that there's actually an all-girls team in robotics. But, just kind of interesting. So the correct answer is salty. So you all got it. So, it's not lit, not low-key. So, and I think this is the final one. Okay, so I work for the Career and Tech Ed Department of Clark County School District. So we would be excited if we had more students that complete our pathways. The CT department would be blank excited. High key, litty, or shooketh. And anyone want to give it? Okay, I'm just going moving on. It's technically high key. I had no idea. So once again, it's a term young people are using these days. So regional slang. So we're just going to go ahead and skip this. So you can go ahead and close your phones. Now I'm going to get into the presentation. So I did that to really kind of start the conversation about diversity and all that stuff. So I named it Stop, Collaborate, Listen. So if anyone is familiar with the artist that says that. No one? Vanilla Ice? Ice Ice Baby, Stop, Collaborate, and Listen. All right. Man, it's going to be a tough crowd today. All right. So Verna Myers has written several books. She's a diversity and inclusion expert. We're talking about diversifying tech, diversity in tech. So one quote that I love by her is she says, diversity is being invited to the party. Okay? Right. Does it stop there? Yes or no? Well, you should say no, because there's a part of the screen that's still whited out. It doesn't stop there, because inclusion is being asked to dance. So for a long time, we thought we met that checkbox. We met everything by saying, hey, we got everybody to the party. It's kind of like we interviewed a diverse group of candidates. But if you're always hiring the same type of people, specifically men in tech, are you really being inclusive? Because you have to be asked to dance. Okay? Happy to share these slides with you as well. So, all right. So another quote, equality versus equity. A lot of people think it's the same, but it's not. Here's the reason why. Okay? Notice I had Las Vegas Athletics because we're getting a new baseball team probably. In this first image, it is assumed that everyone will benefit the same, right? The reason why is because we gave everyone the same thing. Oh, let's interview everyone. That's equality, not equity. Okay? So, okay. Let's see if we can get closer to equity, okay? Second image. Okay, we give everyone different supports, right? So, same amount of resources, but this person didn't need any. This person needed some. This person needed a little more. So, they are all being treated equitably. But have we really gotten to equity? Okay? For the longest time, this type of graphic or training or messaging with companies, organizations, and even in education, that's where it stopped, right? But true equity is right here. All three can see the game without any supports or accommodation. Meaning like let's say you're working for a company, right? No matter whether you're male, female, black, white, immigrant, sexual orientation, you have the same opportunity to advance. You don't need any additional supports. You don't need more time with your superior boss. You all have the same amount of opportunity. You all can see the game. Okay? That's truly what equity is. Okay? And trust me, we don't have equity in tech. So, all right. Idea, inclusion, is everyone's voice being heard and considered. D is diversity, which we all kind of know. What distinct identities does the conversation relate to? Equity, who is trying to enter the conversation but can't. And A, access. Does the conversation take place where anyone can join? So these are questions around the idea of diversity, equity, inclusion, access in technology, okay? I share this with you because this session was called Diversify Tech, Diversity Tech. But really, you have to have this entire idea in order for diversity to happen, right? You have to make sure you're including everyone. You have to make sure it's equitable. You have equity. You got to make sure everyone's got access, right? So too often we just think of this portion, or maybe this portion, but are we asking those other questions, okay? And we're going to skip this action. So we're going to shift gears a little bit, okay? So being an ally, right? I always hope that there's more men in this room, especially white men, because they need to be an ally right here. You know, it should involve everyone. White men, unfortunately, are a lot of leaders and gatekeepers in tech, right? We know that. When I worked in tech as a consultant, almost every superior I had was white male, and I only had one white female as a superior. So, and then women report that many times to support and pursue persistent STEM careers often comes from men. So where are they here in our conversation? You know, they're not. And that's what needs to change, okay? Here is what motivates men for advocacy. And keep in mind, I am a male, and here's the reason why I advocate is right here. Personal experience, daughter. I have a daughter, right? But I also had one female boss, right? I had a lot of really good leaders. And, you know, I even had some gender bias because culturally, a lot of cultures, you have gender bias. You have a role for men, role for women, you know. You know, growing up, I always saw my mom in the kitchen, my dad doing something else. So I made a point that, you know, I would always try to help out her or do her because, you know, even though that's the generation, how they live, that doesn't mean that's how I have to live. So I try to be mindful with my daughter. My daughter still doesn't wash dishes, but even though I really want her to wash dishes, so. But, all right. So if you're familiar with Star Trek and Jean-Luc Picard, this is Patrick Stewart. But I love this quote that he uses. He says, people won't listen to you or take you seriously unless you're an old white man. I'm not talking about all of our elected officials, keep in mind, even though most of them are old white men, okay? Since I'm old and white, I'm going to use that to help the people who need it. This is Patrick Stewart protesting, and he said, defend rights for women and girls. Just happened to be right before, in our country, we started talking about Roe versus Wade. So I tried to share that as much as I could when, unfortunately, our Supreme Court overturned that epic case. So, but I do like the fact that he is taking a stand, and many people do. Many people do. So, allies are for advocating, you know, changing the environment. But the key is, we're not trying to help or fix women or others or other people. We're not trying to fix them. And I think a lot of times, people in power think that they need to fix this, right? They don't need to fix it. I really think they just need to provide that access, that opportunity. Because truly, if everyone has that same access and opportunity, most organizations will shift to a more diverse organizations. It's even been shown that more diverse organizations are more productive and more successful. So, all right. These are some questions that a lot of females and people of color will experience. Sometimes you're pushy, challenging personality. I mean, you may have heard these working with other people. I've heard them. I've heard this like need to see more evidence. I'll present an idea in my staff meeting, and I always get questioned about, hey, show more evidence. And I will tell you, there's someone else that presents, they never get questioned, right? Happens all the time. So, but we need to change that, you know, and that was the whole point of this conversation or this session is to change it. And keep in mind, this is like I mentioned, this is one of like a 20-part series on trying to address this, right? So we're not trying to solve this in one presentation or one afternoon, so. But mistakes happen. And I think that's the biggest thing I hate is that people make mistakes and they continue to make mistakes, but they don't learn from them. So, you know, the most interesting man in the world, I don't always say the wrong thing, but when I do, I awkwardly keep talking and make things worse, right? I've been in a number of situations, a number of meetings where someone said something, they apologized, but they continue to reference it and say it. And I was like, you're continuing to make it worse, right? So this is not bubble wrap, it's a minefield, you know, different things like that. So, So now I want to share is like, what are we doing? You know, what's happening here locally in the Vegas community to diversify tech? So sharing with you the Girls in Tech, Girls in STEM program that Clark County School District has been doing since about 2015, 2016. And of course, this is a picture of the student at the bottom is a high school student that ran a program from January to May on Saturday for 4 hours, trying to expose these middle school girls to a tech career. So basically they took apart computers, they set up networks, they built web pages, did all that. So as you can tell, a very diverse group of young women. So presentation 101, you always gotta have, you know, a picture of your daughter, your dog, or something. So I mentioned one of the reasons why I do this work is for my daughter. So that's my daughter holding her first cell phone. Yes, it is a flip phone. You might not be able to tell, but this little antenna actually pulls out back in the day. That was her first cell phone she technically had. It didn't work, but it was us. But I never like saying no to her, right? But sometimes I have to as a parent, right, as an adult. So she was putting her mouth at the bottom of the M&M tube and just letting M&Ms flow in. So I pulled her away and I snapped a picture. I was like, no, you can't do that. This other kid was also doing the same thing too. So I blame the male for being a bad role model here. So not me. So, but numbers that don't lie. Here are the numbers. As of last year, in 2022, last year, 26% of tech professionals were women. 26%. 26%. Guess how much in 1982, 3, how many tech professionals were women? Huh? You're going to be shocked. Nearly 40% in the 80s. In the 80s, yes. It was higher because, and here, think about why it was higher in the early 80s. What happened before 80s in 60s, 50s, 70s, 60s, and 50s? And even back, it started in the 40s. What happened was conflict, wars, World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War. Who fought those wars? Men, right? So what happened was, leading up to the 80s, women were doing a lot of the tech stuff. If you've seen the movie Hidden Figures, right? If it wasn't for those women, we would have never been in space. But yet, who gets all the credit? Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, right? But if it wasn't for those women computing, the math behind space travel would have never happened, right? So in the 80s, women were nearly 40% in the tech field. They dominated the tech field. But then, of course, once all the wars stopped, right, men came back and it started to self-correct. Did you also know earlier from the I think in the 1920s, 30s, did you know in 1920 and 30, most teachers were male? Yeah. But then they all had to fight those wars over those 3 or 4 decades. And then with the men being gone or coming back, you know, injured and stuff, women did the tech stuff, and that's when shift changed. More women became teachers slowly in 40s, 50s, 60s. Now if you look at, you walk into an elementary school, most of the teachers are female. Same thing, middle school, same thing, even to some degree the high school. I argue, like someone argued with me, well, there's more male teachers in high school. I was like, yes, but more male teachers are also connected to the male sports in high school, so that's why there's more male teachers in high school, right? So 26% tech, but here's the really catchy, less than 10% women of color, less than 10%, okay? 16% of that 26 is white, 5 Asian, 3, this is an old slide, African American, so they haven't adapted to black, but then 2 Hispanic. So basically, black, African American, Hispanic represent less than 5% of the tech workforce, okay? But still, 3/4 male, 1/4 female. And obviously we're here to diversify tech. There's no males in the room besides myself, but there's 3 amazing women in the room. So, interesting. So here's some more numbers. 57% workforce are held by women. So jobs in the workforce are held by women, okay? Only 25% what's getting computing occupations, 25, 26%. 14% of computer science degrees are held by women. So people graduating college are not helping that number, okay? And what I want to share with you is that if we need to stop telling people in order to have a good, successful job, you have to go to college. Because I hate to say it, my college partners aren't here, but they know my feeling. Colleges aren't helping the diversity problem, right? If anything, I sat on a panel, I didn't sit on a panel, I heard a panel before the pandemic in 2019, and there was this female professional, she works for CompTIA, they're an IT certification company, and she literally said on this panel, college degrees are racist. And they asked her why, and she's like, well, college degrees, first of all, automatically eliminate people because you can't afford it. Second of all, if you don't have good grades, you can't go to college. So you've eliminated like 2/3 of, and she was saying, Black, African American, minority, Hispanic population, because colleges are, if you think about it, colleges won't allow anyone to go to college. But K-12, public school system, anyone can go get an education in K-12. So do we need to change that? And that's why some of our elected officials have said, hey, free community colleges. It never got passed, but you've heard that different term. So, but yeah, just sharing some. I want to see if this plays. This is a really good video, and I don't think, let's see if it'll play. I think you'll really like it. Hold on.
All different kinds of cool things, and there's like no limit what you can do. One inventor is Richardson. Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Alexander Bell Graham. No.
In school, it was always a male inventor. I just realized that.
Sorry, it's buffering.
There's so much, and they really know that stuff. We're surprised because they only talk about Einstein and Benjamin, but you never hear a girl in the conversation.
To know that there were women before me, it gives me like motivation that I can invent something, make maybe like a change in the world, and that would be really cool.
So that video was part of Microsoft's Make What's Next series, came out about 6 years ago. I love showing that because we don't know what we don't know, right? We don't know why when you open up a textbook in high school, middle school, in college, it always talked about men, but it never referred to many women, many people of color. So, but how do we reach them? You know, by empowering young females. One thing that video didn't show that interesting, I think there's a different version of the video, but you know windshield wipers was invented by a female as well? So yeah, windshield wipers and even brakes was invented by a female. So if you think about it, if we didn't have brakes, probably all the men would have died, you know, driving too fast or something like that. So thank you, women, for in developing brakes. Yeah.
Like with, you know, the 40s and the, you know, when cars were being more and more developed and our gentlemen are off.
Yeah.
And our ladies are.
They're just thinking about speed and power, whereas you know, maybe if someone else was at the table, they would have thought, oh, well, you need to slow down on this curve, or we just need to go here to pick up, you know, it's being more inclusive, and that's why we want to diversify tech. You've heard the story about AI recognition, facial recognition, right? Have you heard the story about facial recognition? How it was, well, how it wasn't working because to some degree it was racist. The reason why is because when facial recognition first started to get developed, recognize our face, if your phone has facial recognition, it would work fine for a certain group of people. But then you would put someone of color, brown, black, it wouldn't recognize their face. And they spent years trying to figure it out why. So the reason why is because the people that developed it were all white and they were testing it on themselves. So it worked for them, but it wouldn't work for the rest of the population. So then they finally realized that they had to include different colors, shapes of faces, eye shape sizes, different things like that, ears, mouth, all that stuff. So, but just think how far their facial recognition would be today if we didn't waste years on trying to figure out we weren't developing technology that included everyone, only a small subset of the population. So you can Google that. There's a lot of stories about facial recognition and how, I think one article says, oh, well, it took them 6 months to figure it out. It took it 18 months. No matter what, it delayed the development of that technology because it wasn't being inclusive. So technology can be racist as well. But, how do we reach them? Empowering young females. One thing we're doing here in Clark County, we're, over since 2015, 6,000 middle school female students have been provided opportunities for STEM and technology, right? We did have a hiccup called the pandemic in COVID-19 where we would have easily been to 10,000 by now. But for the 2 years of the pandemic, it kind of slowed us down. But, continue to do that. The reason why is we got to start sooner, right? And plus, everyone here in the room, we need you to start sooner as well. Having conversations with young people, having conversations with older people, not old people, but older people, and letting everyone know that we all need to be supportive. We all need to be inclusive. This is everyone's problem, not just a white person's problem or a man's problem or a woman's problem. It's everyone's challenge. So this is another video. I'm going to skip this video because it just talks about our Girls in STEM program. There's another video as well. But I do want to share information about the Aspirations program. And I'll hand out, here, there's one there if you want to hand that out there. So, and I'll give you all this poster as well. So this is a high school program. It's called Aspirations in Org. So a great way to engage young people is to recognize them, right? Who doesn't love to win an award? So this is if you know of a high school student or someone who has a high school student, public, private, charter, homeschool, anything like that, encourage them to apply for the Aspirations Award. It's aspirations.org, but it's basically a way to honor students in 9 through 12 to go into tech. Because guess what? We need to diversify tech so that new tech, innovative tech is more inclusive and it includes everybody. It benefits everyone, not just a certain subset or a certain population, okay? So aspirations.org, applications are open now. It is not academic based, it is totally based upon interest and desire. And guess what? If you have a cell phone, you're interested in technology. So every female student in 9th through 12th grade, age doesn't matter. They just got to be in 9th through 12th grade, homeschool, private, public, charter, parochial, anything like that, they can apply. So last year, here in Southern Nevada and Las Vegas, guess how many applications we had? Keep in mind, in public school, there is 50,000 female students in public school alone. How many applications do you think we had for this application? 9 through 12, yeah. We have 50,000 girls in high school today in public high school. How many do you think applied for this Aspirations Award? Because I just said that if they have a cell phone, they're interested in, they have at least some interest or desire in tech. How many applications do you think we got over? And we've had this program since 2016.
So is it since that whole time or just last year?
Just last year.
I want to say 10%. Well, look at us.
Huh? Okay, all right. We had 90 applications last year. So 90 applications. So as you can tell, we need to share. We need to spread the word. So that's what I'm trying to do today. So I'm hoping all of you can help me out, share it with friends, colleagues, anyone like that. Like we should be getting thousands of applications for this. Because I will tell you, of the 50,000 girls in high school, I probably think 49,900 of them probably have a cell phone, if not every single one, right? So, all right. So I'm going to conclude today with sometimes we just have to take the plunge, right? I, for a long time, I'm a person of color, I'm an immigrant, and I didn't start, in essence, in my mind, start doing diversity, equity, inclusion work until I was probably 7 years into my first job. And I realized that, hey, I worked hard. I may have not been presented every opportunity, but I'm here. But what I want to do is I want to leave the future a better place for not only my daughter, but for other people coming up the system, right? They shouldn't have to experience the same challenges, the same barriers, the same words that I hear sometimes, So what can we do? We can take the plunge, take that step. So if you're a Ted Lasso fan, I love this quote because it says, you know what the happiest animal on earth is? It's a goldfish. You know why? Because it's got a 10-second memory, okay? For a long time, when I got discriminated against, I sulked, I said the system wasn't fair or whatever for a very long time, right? And sometimes it didn't make me productive, but it took me a while to get over it. But if I had a 10-second memory, the next day I'd be back at work trying to make a change, trying to make a difference. That's what I'm doing now, right? So I think sometimes too often we really, really need to have a goldfish mentality. It's like, okay, we need to accept it. Okay, I didn't get the job, I didn't get the promotion, I didn't do this. But hey, what can I do so that the next opportunity I'm ready for? So that it's harder for them to say no. And what can I do to help the people coming up behind me? Mentoring them, providing more opportunities, sharing about the aspirations program or something like that. So that's why I love this quote, 10-second memory, because too often we hold stuff in, especially women, especially people of color. You feel like the system is rigged. Well, let's be honest, it is. But me complaining about it isn't going to help my situation, right? Yeah, complain about it for like a goldfish for 10 seconds and then move on. Move on and try to make yourself, put yourself in a better position. That's the only thing we can do. Until the entire system changes, we're not going to have equality. Well, not equality, we're not going to have equity for everyone, right? So, okay. Just some resources on an Allies kit and a sponsorship kit. But really, that is all I had for you today. Left 15 minutes left for questions. But I like this image. If you're a big Marvel fan or Avengers fan, they're all coming together in Endgame with their fist pump. And you can see the rocket, male, female, all that stuff. But what someone mentioned to me the other day, you notice that it's just all fists there, right? You don't know if it's an alien behind the fist or a male or female. That's what we need to get to, where we're all coming together, putting our hands together, and accomplishing a goal. So, but that's obviously my email, my social media handle, all that stuff. Any questions for anyone? So, yeah.
Is the scan code?
I think the scan goes to the presentation, which may not work. I apologize. I may not have updated it to the right presentation. It may go to a different presentation. Let's see. But I think everyone in the room, you have my email, so just, yeah, it goes to a different one. It goes to, in essence, a similar presentation that I did back in 22 last year, but yeah. But if you want this exact presentation we went through, just email me and I'll send it to you. So, yeah. So I think there's a launch party at 4 o'clock, and we have 15, 20 minutes. Launch party is back over on, just by Taverna. Just on the other side, in that outdoor patio area.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, yep, Taverna, yep. But any questions, any conversations? Obviously, we went through it a lot faster because, it's only 3 people. But, if you have any questions or anything like that, we have the next 15 minutes or so. Otherwise, we can head on over to the launch party and enjoy celebrating someone else's success, which is always a good thing to do as well, right? Yes, you want to celebrate your success, but celebrate someone else's success there as well,
Yeah. I'll tell you that.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So one of my many hats I wear, right? One of my many hats I wear. So, and what's funny is that this isn't even my full-time job. This is a passion project. it's part of my job, but it's a passion project of mine. So yeah, and of course it's the Saturday. I'm presenting on a Saturday, which so says enough for itself. So after I went to a community event, so that I hosted. So but
A
yeah.
couple of things though. I'm just wondering, I don't know if I've ever been to, is it DEI or DIE?
DEI is typically what the private corporate world refers to, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So DEI work. You'll see that like if you go on LinkedIn, type DEI, you'll see a bunch of people will put that on their LinkedIn title, profile, but DEI work is typically what it's referred to in the corporate world. The reason why they don't use the A as much, access, because companies feel like they provide all employees access. So. Whereas I feel like some companies don't necessarily do that, but they don't view the access as much as we do for the younger populations, right? Because you figure if you're taking a job for a company, they hired you, so they're going to give you a laptop or a computer or a space to work and all that stuff. So that's why they don't focus on the access, but they do focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Are they including all their employees? Do all their employees have equal or the same amount of resources to be successful? And are they hiring a diverse group of employees? So
with the youth, it's idea, like
right, idea.
In that setting, that's when it'll be like idea versus D. Okay.
Yeah, idea. Well, and some people even call it IAED, because it views you got to include everybody first, inclusion, then you got to give them access. Then you got to make sure you're equity, and then make sure you have a diverse group of candidates. So diversity, I think in the realm, everyone thinks of that first and last, but a lot of times you need the IAE first before you can truly have a diverse company organization. So yeah.
I think I have
Sure.
some concerns.
Yeah.
And this is again, I just don't do this, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely in private sector, but okay. You are a brown person, right? That is doing this. And what you're saying, we're in here, this is the way.
Right.
Thank you guys so much. But I'm just if we are all doing this work, I am probably sounding so insensitive, and that is not.
No, you're probably not. No, the whole point of this is to have these conversations, but go ahead.
But I'm just saying, like you said, white males saying, you guys, we need to do this, guys. But y'all, we need to do this because there's people like us who are already doing this. And so we're the ones who are preaching that and speaking that and saying that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my concern is that going to feel disingenuous if you have a white male saying, we need to, to do this. So maybe they don't because it looks a little bit staged.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, and I'm not in the circles to say, there's a whole community of people who are doing this. But yes, the ally process, I think in my mind, it is any things I've been a part of, the people who look like me or close to me, or who can relate in some regard.
Right.
And I'm not sure what I'm saying with that. I guess I just, you're an expert, and there are others who too. And it's concerning in some regard, but I guess just where do they exist? And if so, if they're not doing that, is it because it's I don't have anything to talk from or about or for, so I just don't.
Well, first, let me say, I'm not an expert. I'm learning every day as well. So no one's really an expert, but the challenge is, yes, this room is the challenge, and this demonstrates it to everyone in this room. So no offense to the two gentlemen back there, if you fall in this category. White men are the leaders and gatekeepers, especially in technology, right? So this was a conversation around diversifying tech, and the people that need to be here, that need to hear it, that need to be allies, advocates, unfortunately not here. But we're here because we're the ones that want it to change, the process, the opportunity, because many times we've all probably been looked over for whatever reason, whether it's a promotion, a job, a project, or whatever, and it was given to someone else Not necessarily because they were better qualified, but because they fit a mold. They were white and they were male. Oh, let's give it to them. Let's give it to that team as opposed to this team, you know, or something like that. Or let's hire this person versus that person. Or, I hate to say it, sometimes people say, okay, I don't want to hire that person because they're not going to fit well in my company or culture. Well, the reason why they're not going to fit well is because everyone else is white as well, right? So how do you expect to diversify your company if you're never even going to give someone else an opportunity, right? So I think that's the challenge. You know, I will tell you, the more and more presentations I give around diversity in tech, the more and more I hate the fact that there's not more white people in the room. But I will tell you, when I've given the presentation, there have been white people in the room. It has really kind of been an aha moment for them. They've wanted to become that ally. Many times, you know, and to some degree, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt because many times they don't realize this is happening because they've always seen it that way, right? But the thing is that we see it with a different lens than they see it, right? So, you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. You know, when I asked to do this presentation, you know, they wanted to schedule me in the morning, and hopefully I'll get to do this in the morning on a future Tech Alley. But unfortunately, I had another event, so I had to do this afternoon time slot, knowing the fact that, one, it would be low attended. But I was like, not surely, but I was hopeful that at least someone that was white would come into this room. And I think one of the challenges we have is that many, and once again, I have tons of white friends that are very supportive of the work I do. They've come to presentations and all that, but there's not enough people that are becoming allies and advocate for everyone, right? I try to be an ally I'll be honest, I've been an ally and advocate for a white person as well. So why shouldn't it go both ways? And my hope is that, hey, if I showed it for them, eventually over time, they would show it for us as well. People of color, BIPOC, you know, Black, Indigenous, people of color, different things like that. And once again, everyone's going to make mistakes. Maybe I'm approaching this the wrong way, right? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I mean, who knows? But the only thing I can do is provide a forum or an opportunity for us to have conversations. So absolutely nothing wrong with what you said. It is what it is. And we need to have more courageous conversations. But then after we have these conversations, we need to take some action. So, gentlemen in the back, you want to say anything? You saw like bits and pieces of the presentation, but any thoughts or anything? Yeah, come join us.
Well, I have a question about
yeah.
Do you have any information on how to get involved, how to help, how to support any of that?
Yeah.
Flyer, but I didn't.
Yeah, no. So this is a program that we're running to get more females involved in technology.
Okay,
it's an aspiration program, but take that. So, okay. But I think, you know, the thing is to get involved, right? I get asked that question a lot. You know, the easiest way to get involved is to start having conversations where you work, where you live, saying, hey, what can I do so that everyone is, you know, everyone has the same amount of opportunity or access? Yeah.
You've been involved with NCWIT for a number of years.
Yes.
Are you incorporating this with NCWIT as well?
Well, yeah, this is actually from NCWIT. So yeah, so this is from NCWIT. This presentation is a modification of, they started in 2019 doing a presentation called Allyship that talks about being an ally, an advocate, a sponsor, different things. Because they realized we couldn't just focus on females or getting women into tech, right? Or diversifying tech and STEM. I mean, you know, I really think every career field has some tech in it. So every career is a tech career, right? But NCWIT, the national organization, realized that we couldn't just only focus on women, that we needed to bring, in essence, males to the table and a diverse group of population on both sides. So that's where this came up, and this is what I've started over the last couple of years, doing more of these presentations that say, how do we diversify tech so that everyone benefits? So, yeah. Alan, thank you.
Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will tell you, when I saw diversity in tech, I was thinking about myself.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
Absolutely.
a white male coming and being a part
Yeah.
of that. So maybe that doesn't speak to them because they're thinking, oh, that's for other people.
Right.
So maybe allies in tech. You know,
Yeah.
maybe wanting to be an
Yeah.
ally. You want, you know.
Great suggestion.
An allyship in tech.
Yeah.
And not being like, oh, wait a minute, this allies
So maybe what I'll do is I'll see if I can't get on October's schedule, and we'll call it Allies in Tech, and see if we get a different audience, right?
In terms of NCWIT, since you mentioned that you're diversified into minorities and
Right.
men as well, so does it still stay like NCWIT, like National College of Women in Technology?
You know, it's still, the name is still the National Center for Women in Information Technology, right? Because we still have the problem of, you probably missed it the slide. As of today, the tech workforce, only 26% is women, right? And of that, 3% Black, 2% Hispanic, Latinx, right? So, and if you think about it, the two largest growing populations in the US? Number one is Hispanic and Latinx, number two is Black. But yet they're, on the female side, they're still the most represented. Also, what I did have, I'll have to pull this number, on the tech workforce side, just in general, tech workforce. Male, yes, is 74%. Of that 74%, I know for a fact less than 10% of that 74% is Black, and I think it's less than 8% is Hispanic, right? So it's still very heavy white male, and then probably the next largest category in tech is Asian male, right? So, yeah. But it's one thing that these conversations was the reason why I want to do this. I didn't want to do all this talking, but yeah, I appreciate your questions. So, any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to clarify.
Yeah.
If I have mentees that want to be involved that aren't female, that are women.
Yeah.
That's okay.
In what? So that is specifically designed for females. It's an award program, right? Right. But NCWIT, yeah, NCWIT or something. Yes. The thing about NCWIT is that you can join as a member organization, or here in Nevada, we actually have and Alan's been a part of the advisory board. We have an advisory board, right? So you can go to ncwitnevada.org is a national nonprofit and say that, hey, I want to get involved. We'll add you to our email list, our advisory board, as we have meetings and different updates. We'll definitely share that. And like many nonprofits and organizations, we're still kind of recovering from the pandemic of being kind of, in essence, shut down and virtual. So we're still trying to build up, but we still do some in-person events. We want to do more events where we're having conversations. There's a number of other different programs that we can do to help, create more allies in tech as opposed to, diversify tech. Yeah, because maybe we need to start changing, at the start of this presentation, I had a micro messaging little game that we played, and it talked about, words that are being used in our society as it relates to diversity and equity, right? And this group got most of them right, but if anything, they learned a few about some of these other terms and stuff like that. But I think that's the thing, is that maybe we need to start, as opposed to calling these presentations diversity in tech, maybe talk about allies in tech or being an advocate in tech, and maybe that might draw more people into the room that really we need to have here so that they can help change the system, open more doors, create more opportunities for everyone. So, yeah. Yeah. Great point. So next time at Tech Alley, I'm going to tell Josh it's allies and advocates in tech, not diversify tech. And actually, definitely let Josh know, because this is something that I feel like should be a session at every Tech Alley, right? Where we have an ally advocate in tech session. So right, do it in the morning, but it's an opportunity where we can have conversations, not where me or anyone is presenting, but it should be like a roundtable conversation that we have every morning about being an ally and advocate in tech. I'm happy to help facilitate it, or even have any of you help facilitate it. Sharing your stories of challenges you've experienced, maybe an opportunity where you were given this and someone else got it instead, even though you were more qualified, or different things like that. So I think that's the whole point, having these courageous conversations, and then that leading to action. It's got to lead to action, otherwise then all we're doing is talking. So I'm going to challenge all of you to take some action today. So, and I actually have that slide. I put it in the wrong spot, but I will go back to the slide where I say, okay, what is your one action you are willing to take? All I'm asking you is take one action. over the next 30 days, and then we'll convince Josh to hold the Allies and Advocate presentation in the morning, and you all can come and share what that one action was. You know, think about that way, right? So, yeah. Yeah.
So you're
Yeah, come join us. You don't have to stand so far away.
I said all that work. So, your action item for today was to, get the attendees to help with this.
Right, share.
Get some people to sign up.
Right. And if you didn't hear I think you probably heard the conversation, but the Aspirations Award program opened in September 1. We've been running it here in Nevada since 2015. In Las Vegas, Southern Nevada, we have over 50,000 high school girls enrolled. We've only had about 100 applications. So there's a huge opportunity to engage. And the thing is that this application, it's not based upon grades. It's not based upon academics. It's based purely upon interest and desire to be in tech or STEM. And once again, like I said, if they have a cell phone, they're interested in tech, right? So, yeah. So, and the more of them we can engage, and I think Alan knows this, but if you didn't know this, we actually host our awards ceremony in the spring here at Tech Alley. So if you remember, in April and May, we take up the entire Boulder Plaza area, we set up a stage, and we recognize the young women as part of Tech Alley. So typically the late morning or afternoon meetups are that award ceremony presentation. So we'll probably end up doing the same thing. Probably 2 years ago we did it in May. Last year we did it in April. 2 years ago we did it in May and it was really hot. So we're like, okay, we'll move it to April. Last year we did it in April. It was still really hot. So who knows? We may move it to March. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll keep it in April. And the reason why, I say that is because it is 100% outdoors, right? So we want people to enjoy it and really recognize and support all of our award recipients. And not only do we recognize those students, those young women, if you recommend someone to apply for that award, they have to have someone, in essence, endorse their application, okay? The reason why they do that is that besides a family member, a parent, they like to see someone endorse it that's basically say, hey, I support this person because, hey, this person's smart, they're intelligent. Because remember, there's no academic requirements, right? But they have another person, like it can be an educator, it can be a counselor, it could be any of you can endorse an application if you did not know that. And we also give awards to those that endorse applications as well. So once again, because who doesn't love to win a prize or an award, right? Everybody does, right? So that's the whole point of, hey, let's show the community that we're supportive of a diverse tech workforce because we're all allies and advocates. So, yeah. So, and that's the end of my TED Talk for today. Yeah. So, yeah. No, but I appreciate it. Thank you for tell us your name because I don't know your name. Neil. And I know Alan's name because Alan has actually been a part of NCWIT, been on the board and everything like that. He's been a huge proponent of getting more girls involved in technology. He owns a couple startup companies here in town, so I was glad to see him here today. So yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, now I'm officially done. So you have 15 minutes. I believe there is a launch party here at 4. If you did not get my contact information, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll put it back up here. My email is the best way. Email or find me on social media. Oh, I had it right here. Yeah, so that's my social media, Snehal Stocks. I have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok. Some of them I check more frequently, others I check monthly. So if you send me something on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, I'll usually respond faster. Otherwise, my email address is right there. That's not a misspelling. It's actually bhakts@nv.ccsd.net. So, yeah. Yeah, so I work for the school district in the central office, district administrator. So, yeah. So, but thank you, everybody, for coming. Yeah, thank you.